Welcome to Sunset News. In this broadcast, we bring you the news, community stories, weather, economic news, international stories, as well as the sport. My name is Ashwin Berry. In the news tonight, with the official program for the memorial services and the state funeral for national hero and third president of Namibia, Dr. Hakainde Geingob, around the corner, road users in Windhoek need to be prepared for official motorcades, road closures and detours, as many foreign dignitaries and local officials will undoubtedly need to get around in a hurry over the next few days. The municipality of the capital city has shared some information to bear in mind in order to help plan the routes and to possibly avoid frustration on the streets of Windhoek over the coming days. Now, a state motorcade refers to a group of motor vehicles traveling together for the purposes of conveying Namibian and foreign state dignitaries from place to place, escorted by traffic officers or military police tasked with ensuring safe and unimpeded journeys. In terms of Regulation 337, the driver of a vehicle on a public road must, when being approached or passed by a state motorcade, stop their vehicle on the extreme left of the road, where the road is demarcated into one traffic lane for his or her direction of travel. Now, where the road is demarcated for two traffic lanes, stop your vehicles in a safe position at the extreme left of the road when in the left lane, or adjacent to any vehicle which may be to his or her left when driving in the right lane. Where the road is demarcated into more than two lanes, stop in a safe position. Where the vehicle is stopped in any lane at a controlled intersection, remain stationary and only proceed when instructed to do so, and this is by means of hand signals from a traffic officer. The general rule is to pull over to the extreme left of the road and remain stationary until the motorcade is well away from your position. The regulation states that a person driving a vehicle may not overtake or attempt to overtake any vehicle in a state motorcade. Doing so would be an offense, and upon conviction, a fine not exceeding 4,000 Namibian dollars or imprisonment for a period not exceeding 1 year, or both such fine and such imprisonment sentence may be applicable, the Windhoek municipality warns. When you hear the state motorcade sirens, it is important not to panic, to stay alert and to avoid being distracted. Keep the noise level in your vehicle down to a minimum and continue to pay attention and listen. Be prepared for more than one vehicle passing in the motorcade. You should not slam your brake or stop abruptly blocking the road or junction. Look ahead for a safe area where you can pull over and park out of the way. Be sure to use your vehicle indicators or hand signals to let other road users and members of the state motorcade know your intent to pull over. Wait for the state motorcade to pass and watch for more than one vehicle until you are certain that the entire motorcade has passed and is well away before departing from your stationary position. Check to make sure that the way is clear and signal before merging back into traffic. Never follow or try to outrun a state motorcade. At traffic lights, all approaching vehicles from all directions must give way to the state motorcade until it passes through the traffic lights. Spokesperson for the Namibia Police, Deputy Commissioner Kauna Shikwambi, adds, laws are laws. She calls on the public to respect and give way to traffic escorts during this time. Motorists must be patient and use alternative routes or delay or be early if possible in order to avoid delays, traffic congestions and frustrations, she said. Now, oil and gas companies will be required to work hand in hand with local companies and government if they are to exploit Namibia's oil and gas resources, Petroleum Commissioner Maggie Shino has said. Now, Shino reiterated government's stance at the International Association of Drilling Contractors, which is currently underway, and stressed that the local inclusion of oil and gas companies, the incorporation of local skills, would not simply be a choice but a must. The government is pursuing the strategy to increase local participation in the value chain of goods and services, create employment, training and development of Namibian citizens, enable transference of technology, skills and knowledge, and ensure equity participation for Namibians at all levels of the petroleum sector. Local content is a must and not an option, good to have in the Namibian petroleum industry. As an enabler for the economic growth, we are looking for inclusive participation that goes beyond just employment. We are looking for local content that is visible in industrialization, capacity building, and through skills and technology transferred, Shino said. Now, as part of the strategy, a company will be considered local if it is incorporated under the laws of Namibia with at least 51% of its equity held by citizens and whose principal place of business is in Namibia. In assessing the level of compliance with the local participation requirement, specific care will be taken to mitigate and guard against the practice of fronting, Prospects of bigger yields in Namibia's prospects of becoming a major oil and gas destination seem positive, Shino indicated. Looking at data analysis, the prospectivity and the untapped potential of the Namibian basin is huge, with everything having been bigger and better than we anticipated thus far. Currently, there are 4 drilling rigs offshore Namibia in prolific Orange Basin conducting both exploration and appraisal drilling campaigns operated by Shell, Total and Galp, she said. The potential for more oil funds was ever increasing, with data showing that other major oil discoveries were poised in the Lüderitz and Namibia basins, building on the current Graph 1 and Venus X1 discoveries by both Shell and Total Energies in the Orange Basin. Now, oil and gas prospects were announced in 2022. With current reprocessing and interpretations of existing data that are ongoing, the potential for Namibia is not only confined to the Orange Basin, but extends throughout Lüderitz, Walvis Bay and Namib basins, Shino said. Government was also keenly looking forward to further decisions by Total Energies, Shell and Galp, and this is in light of their discoveries, Shino said. It is our hope that within the upcoming months, final investment decisions will be made on the discoveries that have been made by Total Energies, Shell, Galp and the existing Kudu gas field operated by BW Energies, she said. Now, after facing criticism from the Road Fund Administration in 2022 for its failure to utilize allocated funds for road improvement, the Rundu Town Council has finally taken a decisive step towards addressing the long-standing issue of deteriorating roads. The Rundu Town Council recently announced the commencement of a $16 million Namibian road maintenance project on 3 major roads, namely Haingura Mise, $8.2 Namibian, Elizabeth Nepemba and Maria Mwengere, $6.2 million Namibian. The town's public relations officer, Benjamin Makai, told Namibian Sun that most of the roads were damaged by the rain. Council has identified so far 3 major roads that we are looking into, namely Elizabeth Nepemba, Maria Mwengere and Haingura Mise, that are currently being rehabilitated, he said, adding that the funds to rehabilitate Elizabeth Nepemba and Maria Mwengere Street were acquired through RFA, while the $8.2 million Namibian for Haingura Mise was outsourced by the Rundu Town Council. After the rehabilitation of these roads, there will be a surplus which will be used to try and fix largely damaged roads by clearing out old tarred roads and tarring new ones. The council has also taken the decision to change Marcus Siwarongo Street from 1-way to a 2-way to a total of $2.5 million has been budgeted for this project. Have a look.
As you have seen in town that people are getting busy just to look into our road. And you know that rain season, most of the road were damaged by the rain. But nevertheless, council has identified so far 3 major roads that we are looking into. The first one is that Elizabeth Nepemba road, which is now going to be under rehabilitation. It's going to be rehabilitated. And together with Maria Mwengere Road. So there will be also a surface, and where they see the damage is so big enough, they can always see what they can do, maybe to clear out the old tarred road and then to put a new one. And also Haingura Mise Road. So there are some meters that we are going to tire just to upgrade it from gravel to bitumen standard. And Marcus Warongo Road, which is the road leads from Standard Bank going on the way to Pick and Pay, and a 4-way stop of Pick and Pay and Vurmanbroek. It used to be a 1-way road, but it's going to be changed to be a 2-way road.
And South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced officially 29 May 2024 as the day of general and national elections. The announcement is in accordance with Section 49(2) of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, read with Section 17 of the Electoral Act of 1998, determined 29 May 2024 as the date for the 2024 general, national and provincial elections, Ramaphosa's office announced. The president has also, in line with Section 17 of the Electoral Act of 1998, consulted with the Independent Electoral Commission, and this is on the election date. Furthermore, President Ramaphosa convened a meeting with all 9 provincial premiers and the IEC to discuss the state of readiness for the general elections, the presidency said. Now, tax expert Carmen Kotza has criticized government's tax laws, saying it is not accommodative enough to create a thriving business environment. The details follow in economic news after this short break. Tax expert Carmen Kotza has criticized government's tax laws, saying it is not accommodative enough to create a thriving business environment, nor is it investor-friendly. Kotza made the comments at a pre-budget discussion ahead of the tabling of the 2024-2025 fiscal budget scheduled for next week, held by the Economic Association of Namibia. There is a lot of money caught up in the system. I do not think that the Namibia Revenue Agency is as sufficient as they put it. I think the integrated tax administration system is very good, but it is not being used to its full potential, and the delay in value-added tax refunds is the reason for our economy's wheels not turning smoothly, Kotza said. Tax refunds exceeded the legally stipulated time frame they were supposed to be paid in, Kotza said. If I am an exporter, I should be getting back my VAT within the 2-month period that the Act prescribes, he said. Another drawback of Namibia's tax legislation was that it was not encouraging investor appetite to start businesses that could create employment in the local economy. Let's have a look at the economic indicators. The Namibian dollar trades at 18.82 next to the US dollar, with 20.34 Namibian dollars getting you 1 euro. 2.62 Namibian dollars means that you can get 1 Chinese yuan, and for 23.73 Namibian dollars, that's 1 British pound. Looking at commodities, platinum and crude oil are in the red, whilst gold is trading at 2028.97 per ounce. Copper is also in the green, plus 1.07%. Egypt criticizes Israeli occupation before World Court. We delve into this and more international stories after the break.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alex Forbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
Egypt told a world court hearing in The Hague today that there would be no peace in the Middle East unless the rights of Palestinians were protected, and denounced Israeli occupation. The International Court of Justice, also known as the World Court, was asked in 2022 by the UN General Assembly to issue a non-binding opinion on the legal consequences of the occupation. Israel, which is not taking part, said in written comments that the court's involvement could be harmful to achieving a negotiated settlement. More than 50 states will present arguments until February the 26th. Here's Egypt.
The Middle East region yearns for peace and stability, and a just, comprehensive and lasting resolution to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict based on the principles of international law and the establishment of a viable Palestinian state on the pre-1967 lines, with East Jerusalem as its capital. The legal determination by the court in the present advisory opinion is indispensable to guide the General Assembly and the international community to achieve this objective. It's not just as an additional element, but rather an essential one. Egypt firmly denounces the ongoing obstruction of the Palestinian people's inalienable, permanent and unqualified right to self-determination, a violation as argued by Palestine that is an essential feature of Israel's prolonged occupation. One only needs to look at Israel's vicious, wholesale destruction of Gaza today, after years of imposing the medieval methods of siege and blockade, to realize the extent of Israel's transgression of this principle. This leads to the conclusion that Israeli occupation is and would present an additional element on the matter, the right to self-determination. It is indisputable. For how much longer do the Palestinian people need to wait before they are able to exercise their legitimate rights under international law? For how much longer will the United Nations continue to manage the humanitarian impacts of Israeli violations without addressing their root cause? History will judge us for how we respond today. Economic, social and cultural development in gross breach of it. Mr. President, the consequences of Israel's prolonged occupation are clear, and there can be no peace, no security, no stability, no prosperity in the Middle East without upholding justice and the rule of law for the Palestinian people. I thank you.
Russia has completed sending 200,000 metric tons of free grain to 6 African countries, its agriculture minister said late on Tuesday. Those deliveries had been promised by President Vladimir Putin at a summit with African leaders in July. That was shortly after Moscow had withdrawn from a deal that allowed Ukraine to ship grain from its Black Sea ports despite their ongoing conflict.
Russia has completed sending 200,000 metric tons of free grain to 6 African countries, its agriculture minister said late on Tuesday. Those deliveries had been promised by President Vladimir Putin at a summit with African leaders in July. That was shortly after Moscow had withdrawn from a deal that allowed Ukraine to ship grain from its Black Sea ports despite their ongoing conflict. Both Russia and Ukraine are major grain exporters, and that deal, the Black Sea Grain Initiative, had helped to lower prices on the global market. However, Putin had argued it was failing to get supplies to the countries in most urgent need. A Kremlin transcript on Tuesday said Agriculture Minister Dmitry Patrushev told Putin during a meeting that 50,000 metric tons each had been sent to Somalia and Central African Republic. Mali, Burkina Faso, Zimbabwe and Eritrea had received shipments of 25,000 metric tons. Patrushev also told Putin, according to the readout, that Russia expects to export a total of 70 million metric tons of grain in the 2023 to 2024 agricultural year. That, he added, is up from 66 million in the previous season, worth almost $16.5 billion.
Stay with Sunset News. We'll return with your weather predictions.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
He has another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahn.
Wij zijn CVI is er aan neertrekken. Hij bal ligt met grond gepakt. Ja, hij heeft grond gepakt. En dan zie.
But just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love that. I love that. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5 with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy, and this is the spirit of NTV.
You're still with Sunset News. Let's have a look at the weather predictions. In the capital, it's partly cloudy conditions with a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius expected. It's much hotter in Katima Mulilo and Rundu Katima, going as hot as 40 degrees Celsius, and Anoshakati and Ruakana also hot but partly cloudy. Mostly partly cloudy across the board, save for Luderitz, where they're expecting windy conditions. Keetmanshoop and Arnos are sunny and partly cloudy. Stay with Sunset News. We'll take a quick break just before Ari Hochad brings us the sport.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, starting off with soccer news first. From the English Premier League, it was Crystal Palace and Everton that played to a 1-1 draw that was in the English Premier League. But the more significant news from that game was that the coach of Crystal Palace, that is Roy Hodgson, he announced just before the game that he's stepping down as coach of Crystal Palace. It was a little bit expected. He's 76 years old. He's been battling with his health the last few weeks, and he's stepping down to be replaced by Oliver Glasner. Oliver Glasner was the coach of Eintracht Frankfurt the last few years. Hodgson, a very celebrated coach in English Premier League. He started coaching in 1976 and he coached 17 different club teams and also coached 4 national teams. The 4 national teams that he coached was England and also United States and Switzerland and also United Arab Emirates. On to rugby news, and it is England Rugby that announced that they consider to maybe buy 50% stake in Wembley Stadium. That's a big announcement. It's just all consideration at the moment, and it is Wembley Stadium that is owned by English Football, and it's England that considered to buy 50% stake for England Rugby and England Football to be played their national games at Wembley. The reason for that is that Twickenham is the home of England Rugby. They need to do renovations at Twickenham. It's going to cost more than $700 million US, so quite expensive, and apparently they don't have the budget for that, and so they're looking at considering to maybe buy stakes in Wembley. It's Twickenham Rugby Stadium that was first used in 1909. It's 114 years ago and has been the home of England Rugby for the last 114 years. And to conclude today's international sports news, it's tennis news from the ATP Men's Tour and also the WTA Women's Tour. Firstly, the Men's Tour, it is the Rio Open that's taking place at the moment. The number 2 seed is also the defending champion. It's Cameron Norrie of Great Britain, and he beat Hugo Dellien of Bolivia in the round of 32. He beat him by 6-3 and 6-2. He's got a difficult task to defend his title because Carlos Alcaraz is the number 1 seed and he's also number 2 in the world. And the tournament is also being played on clay. That is the favorite surface of Carlos Alcaraz. On the women's side of world tennis, it's the Dubai Tennis Championship. Some of the results there: number 9 seed Jelena Ostapenko, she beat Ziying Wang from China in 3 sets. Victoria Azarenka also through to the next round. That's all a round of 32 games. And then number 8 seed Maria Sakkari, she beat Emma Navarro by 6-2 and 6-4 to also advance to the round of 16. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Thank you for staying with Sunset News throughout the broadcast. This coming weekend, the nation will be laying to rest national hero and 3rd President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Hage G. Geingob, and you'll be able to see the memorial and the burial on NTV. From Ashwin Bedi, this has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.